Welcome to For His Namesake. So glad to have you here. I'm Valentine and this is my mom, Retina. Today we're going to be talking about the diseases of Alzheimer and dementia. They're kind of both different and yet similar at the same time. Kind of confusing. I did a little bit of research today of what it entails, but I think most of us know at least of someone who has had Alzheimer's or dementia. And it seems to run older people. So maybe you've had a grandfather or a great uncle or aunt who's had it. Or you know a caregiver who is taking care of the patient. It's a sad disease.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
Okay, so when I looked it up, I went to alzheimers.org and this is what they had to say. Alzheimer's is a specific brain disease that accounts for 60 to 80% of dementia cases. So Alzheimer's is a type of dementia. Dementia is a general term for symptoms like decline in memory, reasoning, or other thinking skills. So Alzheimer's is a type of dementia and Alzheimer's is a cause of dementia. Kind of interesting. And there's different kinds of Alzheimer's disease is the most common disease that causes dementia, but there's other diseases that can cause dementia as well, like vascular disease and other things I've never even heard of. So, and there's different kinds of dementia, like mixed dementia is where the brain changes more than one type of dementia that occurs simultaneously. And it's not just for those who age, although those 65 years old and over, they're more susceptible to it. But even young people can get it. When I looked it up, it's called, where is it called?
Early onset Alzheimer's. I've heard of that.
Yeah, younger onset Alzheimer's disease. Approximately 200,000 Americans have it.
How much?
200,000 Americans.
Oh my goodness.
So I don't know worldwide how it is.
That's an awful lot. And if you're wondering why we're talking about this, why we're even mentioning this, because we had said we weren't going to do any more topics that required research per se, but I had asked God to give me some ideas of what we should talk about, and boom, 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 like I mentioned in the last video, he just gave us a whole bunch of them, and this was one of them. And I was thinking, I don't know too much about that, but I guess we could do some research on it. So here we are. He must have wanted us to talk about it because it seems to be rampant. It seems like more and more people I run into that in our homeless journey, especially, we've met quite a few people that have a spouse or a relative that is dealing with that and how they are coping themselves. It can be extremely stressful and emotional and a burden for people that are taking care of them, especially family members taking care of someone who is incapable of taking care of themselves. I mean, it can get real bad. There's different stages I read or heard that, I know we met someone who her husband has had it for, I want to say 12 years, but it's only gotten really, really bad within the last year. So, goodness, I've never heard of someone having Alzheimer's or dementia for 12 years. Goodness, that is a long time. And can you imagine how, what's the word I'm looking for? How burdensome, is that even a word? Mm-hmm. That would be for the spouse who's taking care of them, especially if they don't have any home care that comes to the house and takes turns taking care of that person. I think she's doing it all on her own. I don't see how she does it. I keep saying she's a woman of strength. And I'm thinking, I even told her, I said, you're an inspiration to me. And if this ever happens to me, I can just remember, your name and that you've done it this long. Oh my goodness. And still, she's all still there in the head and seems to be full of life, which is amazing.
I think it helps that at least he's able to walk.
Right.
And sort of have his motion skills. There are some Alzheimer's patients who are beyond to that point and all they can do is stay at home.
Yes, or in the last stages, we had a relative that all she did was lay in a fetal position. I'm serious. Her knees pulled up against her chest. She was skin and bones because she didn't want to eat. You know, they get to that point where they just don't want to do things anymore. But she just, it progressed to that point. You know, first she didn't want to do the regular things that she always did, which would be, you know, she was very crafty with her hands, and she just didn't want to do that anymore. Then she was always very clean, and then suddenly she didn't want to take a shower anymore, and it just keeps progressing to less and less activities, less and less wanting to take care of yourself, almost kind of like a depression, but not realizing that you're in a depression, because mentally they're not all there, it seems.
It's damage to the brain cells.
Yes.
So scary and sad. Oh, another thing we found out is that just because you're related to someone doesn't mean that you're going to have it. Now, if you have a parent or sibling who has Alzheimer's, you're more maybe susceptible to getting it, but it doesn't mean that you're going to have it. Kind of like cancer. Just because you have a family member who has it doesn't mean that you will, but at the same time, you do need to be more aware, like have regular checkups and things like that.
Yes. And then I always thought it was that getting Alzheimer's was also for people that worried a lot in life, or that had a lot of fears in life. And you all know me, I'm a very fearful person. I have a lot of fears. A lot of it stems from my past, but I can't give that as an excuse every time. I just have a lot of fears, doubts, worries. And so that's part of my fear right there, is that one day I'm going to end up having Alzheimer's or dementia, and my poor family is going to have to deal with that. And that's scary, just the thought of it. And I thought that that's what caused it. People that worry a lot, or people that are always fearful or very particular about things, that kind of thing. But when I was talking to my friend and I told her that, she said, no, not necessarily. And then about a year ago, there was someone on YouTube, and their spouse was in the dying days of Alzheimer's. I think it was just Alzheimer's. I don't think they mentioned dementia, just Alzheimer's. And I'm still trying to understand the difference between the two. I always thought that dementia was a form of Alzheimer's, but then we learned today that Alzheimer's comes from dementia. So it's all very confusing to me. If anyone knows for sure, and please explain in the comments down below. Or even my husband, he might be able to get some more information that we didn't get and put it in the description box below. But going back to a year ago, I was watching this man's YouTube channel, and his wife was in the last stages of Alzheimer's, and people were, you know, in the comments, people were saying, oh, maybe it's because she worried a lot in life. Did she worry a lot in life? And goes, nope, she did not worry at all. If anybody worried, it would be me. I was the worrier. She was very calm, cool, and collected most of the time. You know, of course everybody worries from time to time, but not like a problematic situation where she was constantly obsessing over things. And then somebody else wrote and said, oh, maybe she should have, you know, especially as she was getting older, you know, she should have worked on those little, you know, like workbook puzzles, or work on a puzzle, or work on math problems to make her brain cells stronger. And he would say, listen, y'all, I've already told you this. She's been an accountant for over 25 years. An accountant. You all know what that is. They deal with money, numbers, all day long. And she worked a 9-to-5 job, something like that, for hours on end. She was in the office every day, and that's all she ever did was numbers, numbers, numbers. Extremely intelligent young lady. And young, when I say young, she was my age. I would think that in your 50s, you're still young. So I thought that was sad to hear that somebody in their 50s was dwindling down because of Alzheimer's, even though they did not worry, even though they were very good with numbers. She was an accountant for over 25 years. And then still get Alzheimer's. Yeah, because they didn't say anything about dementia, just mentioned Alzheimer's. So that was a mystery, because I always thought, oh, usually it's because you're old. This person wasn't old. Maybe she worried a lot. Nope, she didn't worry a lot. And maybe because she didn't do enough with her brain, but she did. So that was a mystery in itself. Did you have some more? You were looking, I think you found some more information.
I found out that another way is from head injury. You had mentioned that to me before we started. Like, could a head injury cause Alzheimer's? And does say there is a link between head injury and future risk of dementia. So, you know, protect your head. Like, when you're in a car wreck, make sure that you're wearing your seatbelt. Wear a helmet when you're going for a bike ride. Things like that. Of course, accidents can happen even at home. But yeah. And there are certain medical conditions that can link it as well. I found out even heart health, so take care of your heart.
Wow.
And yeah, it says that there are ways to live healthier, of course, maintain a healthy weight, get a good quality of sleep. And it does help that you do keep your mind sharp because, like I said, Alzheimer's is damage to the brain cells. So you do want to kind of sharpen your mind, keep them stronger. It's kind of fascinating how God created our brains. I found out there are 3 parts to the brain. So
did you want to show them the picture or not, or can they not see that? Maybe
I would have to find it again.
Oh, okay.
But basically this whole area, that's the largest part of your brain, and that is your thinking skills, your reasoning skills, and there's a part right here that's for your balance, all kinds of things.
Yeah, it was fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to go into more research on that. Yeah.
The brain is interesting. Like, my brain right now is telling me to move my hand. The hand cannot move of itself without the brain telling it to. No.
Yeah, that is neat. And then something about just because if you have a left-sided brain does not mean that it's working the left side of your body. It means actually the opposite, is what I've been told. It works the right side of your body, and vice versa. I read that somewhere, or read it, or heard about it. I thought that was interesting. Yeah. And like Valentine, I think you mentioned that it's mainly for 65 and older, but it can happen with the early onset Alzheimer's, as I was telling you about this lady who was in her early 50s, and she died. That was so sad. Like, within just a short amount of time, there she was just laying in bed, and then she just died.
I did find out there are 3 stages to Alzheimer's, so maybe she has stage 3.
Maybe. So then you ask, well, what did she die of? Did she die of a heart attack? Did she die of a stroke? Did she die? But it was just, nope, she just died in her sleep. Next thing we woke up and she was gone. And I thought, wow. Yeah, so, but we have some people in our family that have, that had Alzheimer's. We have on my husband's side, I'm sure he doesn't mind us sharing, an uncle by marriage. He had Alzheimer's really bad, to the point where I guess the beginning signs would be watch for strange behavior from the norm that suddenly changes. If you're looking for if you have someone, you know someone who's going through this, or you're just wondering if they are, strange signs, especially if they're driving and they run stop signs, or they keep going when the light is red. Suddenly they don't know, they can't comprehend the normal rules that they've been used to. That happened with my friend that I met while we're homeless. She said that her husband just ran a stop sign, and then she said, I don't think you should be driving anymore. I think I'm going to have to drive. And she was used to him driving all the time, all those years. And then he actually came out and said, I think so too. I think that you should drive from now on, which is strange for an Alzheimer patient, because they don't normally want anybody doing anything, you know. So they're very, they'll fight you on it. Like, no, I'll drive. I'm okay. You know, we've had that too. So back to my husband's side of the family, he was like that. He would drive around and just drive recklessly, and the police would bring him back home and say he shouldn't be driving. There's something not right in his head. You need to get him examined. So she did, and it comes to find out that he had early Alzheimer's. So I don't know how there is a test, I've read somewhere, that they do some kind of a test to check, to see, it's like certain questions that they have to answer, and then they will be able to tell you if you have the beginning stages of Alzheimer's. I do remember the man telling us about that on his YouTube channel.
And with new technology, they could probably scan your brain to see if there's been damage to your brain cells.
That's right, yeah. And then this uncle, basically, who had Alzheimer's. Well, the wife was taking care of him because, believe it or not, people that come to your home, they charge an outrageous amount of money per hour. Back in that day, which was years ago now, it was already $100 an hour for these people that come in, and they, you know, like medical people, and they come and stay with the Alzheimer patient and bathe them and do whatever else they need to do with them, spend some time with them or whatever, so that that person can go away and get some shopping done, run some errands, have some time for themselves, kind of thing, just to get away from it all. But she didn't want, because it was so expensive, she just suddenly said, I'm going to have to take care of him. And that's what she did, 24/7. And they're like a child. I mean, when they get down to the
The third
you know,
stage.
the third stage. They're like a child. They just can't do anything anymore for themselves. Can't get dressed, or they don't want to get dressed. They definitely don't want any baths and showers. I've heard of that. They don't want to. They're not into cleanliness anymore. They think they can do other things on their own, like drive a car. That's where they think they have power. Well, I could go drive this car now. But then other times they're like, I don't remember how to get dressed. Suddenly it's like they forgot how to get dressed. It's a very strange illness to me. I would love to do more research on it because I find it very interesting and yet a mystery at the same time. And I don't think there's any cure, is there? Did you say that you found out that there's a cure?
They're still working on it, still doing research.
So kind of like cancer. There's no cure for cancer. I mean, there's things to help you to get rid of, cancer that's growing, like chemotherapy or what's the other one? Radiation or surgery.
Basically to prolong your life.
Right. But with Alzheimer's, there's nothing like that I know of. Now, if y'all know, then please put it down in your comments. But I've never heard of anything to prolong your life when you have Alzheimer's, dementia, that kind of thing.
Speaking of life, I found out that on average, a person with Alzheimer's lives 4 to 8 years after the diagnosis, but can live as long as 20 years depending on other factors.
Wow. That must be like the friends we met in our homeless journey, because it's been 12 years now, going on 13, and she said he was okay, he just couldn't do things for himself, and he always wants her to be there with her all the time. I think the only freedom she gets is to go to the bathroom, and I think that's why she takes him places. It's for herself too, for her mentally to not go crazy, I would think, because it gets her out. She goes places, and we run into her at different places wherever we eat, or at the gym where we go to take our showers. We see her there. She's walking there and doing exercise. She's doing most of it. He gets tired after just a few steps, and it's not really exercise. He's just walking, like taking a few like baby steps, basically, just real tiny. And she said, I'm not getting my exercise that way, but just to get him out of the house, just to get us out of the house.
He probably has what's called moderate. It's typically the longest stage and can last for many years.
Wow.
So I guess he's in stage 2 right now.
I guess so. And she did say it got worse about a year and a half ago. It's starting to, she could see a kind of a downhill, slow motion spiral.
Yeah.
But I forgot to mention about that. The uncle that had the Alzheimer's, the wife was taking care of him basically 24/7. It got to the point where she starved herself because I guess she was depressed because she was constantly having to take care of him, hand and foot. And those people, believe it or not, it's almost like they're not tired at all. They don't need any sleep, and they're up all hours of the night. And so then, of course, and they constantly want you. Hey, Martina, can you come and get me a drink of water? Martina, can you do this? Martina, can you? And Martina never gets to have a rest. You know what I mean? I'm giving you an example. And then this poor lady, she ended up having dementia. But they're not even related in bloodlines, per se. They're not biologically related. They're just married. So I'm just wondering, how did her brain cells, if it's caused because of damaged brain cells, how did her brain cells get damaged just from taking care of him?
Well, yeah, because like we read, if you're not really taking care of your body, then you are more susceptible to getting it. It doesn't mean it's a cause, but it's a factor. That makes sense.
Oh yeah, that does make sense. Yeah, because she was not feeding herself. She looked like she had anorexia. We were actually very concerned, and we would ask her, "Are you anorexic?" And she'd say, "No, I'm not anorexic. I just don't have time to eat because I'm constantly taking care of him." And then we kept thinking, well, surely he's sleeping at some point. And she said, no, not really. Maybe 5 minutes, and then he'll wake up again and he'll want something else.
And I will say, for caregivers out there, I've never been in that situation, and I hope I don't ever have to go through the situation. But should I would hope to really lean on the Lord during these times, not to talk ill of my great aunt. But as long as I knew her, she was never really what I would call a happy woman. I never saw her smile or have laughter or joy. If it was very short-lived. So I don't know the situation that went on in her life, but I would say that it probably would have helped if she during her lifetime had expressed more closeness to the Lord, I guess. Because really only He can get you through situations like that, and accept help from other people. And I mean, I would hope I would accept help. I can't speak for myself right now, but for anyone who knows a caregiver, be sure to ask the caregiver what you can do to help them. Make sure that you're respectful. Don't just do whatever you want and say, oh, I brought you this, I did this. Warn them about it first, you know, like, hey, it's okay if I bring you a meal, it's okay if I clean your house, things like that.
Yes. And I was thinking about, when you mentioned great aunt, the great aunt, of course, had a daughter, and when the daughter would come to visit her there, you know, I would say I guess it was towards the end, but I don't know, she didn't even remember her daughter. That's the other thing. They have what's called is it short-term memory loss? No. Yeah, usually it's short-term memory loss, where they can't remember what they did a few days ago, like a few minutes ago, but they can remember what happened years and years ago, back in 1930, whatever, when they got married, when they were born, or when they were just a little kid. You know, they remember all of that, going through the Depression and all that. When we talk about like older people now, they remember all those, but they don't remember short-term. Oh, I just took a bath now, or you came by to visit me. But then on top of that, I've heard that and I've seen that they don't remember family members. Like, who are you? I'm your daughter. No, you're not. I don't have a daughter. That has got to be devastating for the recipient of that. For the daughter to say, "Oh no, my mother doesn't even remember who I am anymore." Or they'll be ugly and say, "I don't want you here. Go ahead and leave." That's happened too. Go ahead and leave. I don't want you here. I don't want any visitors. That's how this great aunt was towards the end. I don't want visitors. Who are you? Get out. Well, you're going to have to get out because they don't want you there. So that gets really sad for the family members who want to go see their family member who's in that situation, but they can't. I knew a family who had you probably heard of the Bates family. They had their own TV show, the very godly family, but the father of Mr. Bates, he had dementia for years, and he started to forget his children, his grandchildren. They kind of keep reminding you, hi Grandpa, I'm your granddaughter, so-and-so, hope you don't mind I'm here, that kind of things. But he had a very sweet personality about him, I think because he was a Christian, and all his life he loved the Lord. So that does help having, I'm not saying it's going to take care of everything and you're always going to be happy, but it seems to be that those who had a close relationship with the Lord and had a joyful spirit about them, they weren't as mean or as difficult later on. Or as depressed. Yeah. Or as resentful, because your great aunt, she was also very resentful towards people. Just would not let go of past hurts. Even if they said sorry, she would just hang on to that. So that's not good. Yeah. Whew, goodness me. Yeah, so it was, yeah. And then the great aunt didn't remember her sister. You know, I wrote down some notes here. Didn't remember her daughter, her sister, nobody related to her. It was sad. And just lay there like a baby, a fetus, like that all day, in skin and bones, and that's just so sad. I feel so sorry for the family members who have to see that. So anyway, and then one day she was just gone, just in her sleep, gone. But had many years of that. Yeah. So be sure to share with us if you have anybody, if you know of anybody in your family, if you would like. You don't have to. I know it's a personal thing. You can always email us, but you know, we like to hear in the comments too if you knew of anybody, whether a relative or a friend, or just in passing you met somebody who had a family member that was had Alzheimer's or dementia, and how you noticed how they were behaving, or how their gradual, how do I say, deterioration is the word, went on. And I do have a Bible verse that I think is for patients and or caregivers. Yes. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9. This is Jesus speaking to Paul. And he said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, most gladly, I would rather boast in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Therefore, I take pleasures in infirmities, and reproaches, and needs, and persecutions, and distresses for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong."
We can't do anything without the Lord. We have to constantly depend on Him for everything. So, I don't know your situation, but if you're a caregiver, please lean on the Lord and don't be afraid to ask people to help you or to come alongside you. Or if you have dementia and you're still in the early stages, it's okay to ask for help. It's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength.
Yeah, I like that. Okay.
Oh,
Well,
hope you enjoyed the video. Leave your comments down below. And if you have any prayer requests, we'd be more than happy to pray for you too.
yeah.
And we hope that you like, subscribe, and click the notification bell. And Lord willing, we'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye-bye.